Alright, it's Dustin with Aquarium How To, coming back with another video. Today we're talking about a pretty serious subject in both fresh and saltwater communities. Quarantining fish. What do you do when you get those fish first in from the pet store, online order, etc.? A lot of people underestimate the power of a quarantine tank. Spend lots and lots of money, invest lots of money into setting up a perfect aquarium, only to dump a pricey amount of fish into it, have a sickness that you couldn't detect or treat, in case of some of the coral and stuff like that, or invertebrates and shrimp. Some of the medications are toxic to them, so now what? What do you do? I highly recommend quarantining. It is a very simple, relatively cheap way to protect your investment, and it's fun to do. I think a lot of people go about this wrong. What happens is they usually buy fish, they add them to their new tank, they have sickness, then they try and set up a quarantine tank quickly without cycling it and end up in a situation where the fish die because of toxicity from ammonia and nitrites, because they don't have a biological filter set up in them. So let's talk about the proper way to do this the first time. When you first set up a tank, go ahead and set up a quarantine tank as well. They don't have to be anything special. A 10-gallon starter kit that you can get at any pet store or Walmart, relatively cheap. You can find them oftentimes at thrift stores for even cheaper. Doesn't have anything to be special, just has to have a heater, a filter, and more importantly, a cycled filter. So in this aquarium in particular, I do have two. It's just a standard 10-gallon aquarium. I really do like the sponge filters. They do a great job. They can support quite a lot of bio waste, and they're really easy to cycle. You can put them in your main aquarium if you're setting this up for the first time and you already have an existing aquarium. Set it up in there for a couple weeks. It'll have all the bacteria you need. This particular tank did come with one of these internal whisper filters, and they do a great job too. As you can see here, I put a piece of mesh on here with some zip ties to prevent any fish from getting up into the inlet of this filter. Since I do have some coolie loaches, which are a little nocturnal loach right here. Really interesting fish, but they have a tendency to go up into filter intakes and disappear. So you can see here, we don't have anything very elaborate. What we do want to do is, you can see how the aquarium bottom itself is bare. This allows for easy waste removal, kind of help keep that bio load down in the beginning. And then a lot of times sand and substrates will actually absorb medications put into the tank if you do have to treat a sick fish. Additionally, if you have a power filter of some type, do try and remove the carbon from it if you intend on dosing any sort of medication. One of the great things about getting a setup like this, from the get-go, take your fish home, get them out of the box, get them out of the bag, whatever, acclimate them. They go straight in this tank. It's really simple. You can observe the fish. You can check on the individual fish often. A lot of times if you throw them into an established tank, they're gone. You hardly ever see them. And then if you do have an issue, it's impossible to get them out. So you have quite a good opportunity to observe and check for illness and signs of distress. Also, it's a nice quiet place. You got to remember, a lot of these fish have come from, across the country, if not the world. So give them a nice, quiet, dimly lit aquarium with lots of cover for them to feel safe. It gives them a chance to kind of recuperate, and it just reduces that stress level, which is where you end up with a lot of your sickness anyways. So you see here, I just have a few basic things. I got some aquarium plants, some plastic plants, nothing special. I got a few up here. You see the hatchetfish are hiding in there. Just gives a little bit of cover there. Really popular PVC pipes. They're inert. They won't absorb anything. Great places for fish to hide. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just something to give them a little bit of security, and you're good to go. So set this up. You should do this have this thing cycled at the same time your aquarium cycling. That way when you put the fish in there, you're good to go. Don't have to worry about nitrite and ammonia. Basically when fish waste breaks down, goes straight into ammonia, which is extremely toxic to fish. Even small concentrations kill them, and then further bacterias will break it down into nitrite and then nitrate. So trying to provide a nice healthy place for these fish to begin with. Let's talk about a little bit about medication. Best way to do this is put these fish in. If you see a obvious medical issue, there's several online resources. Just Google. You'll be able to find plenty of them. Common things like ick, a parasite. Parasites, bacterial infections are very common with fish coming straight off of a trip from the local fish store or a box being shipped. These happen a lot of times, closed systems like this. The parasites can reproduce and then rapidly latch onto other fish, or injuries, torn fins, etc., caused by the netting of the fish can lead to bacterial infections. So in this particular case, I got these guys from a store I knew that there were some issues with, so I actually prophylactically treated these fish. There's a few very simple ways to treat fish, medications that are guaranteed to be mild. Most of these will work with at least some of the freshwater inverts. First thing you could do, since you are working with a quarantine tank, is you're actually able to treat with more effective medications that might be toxic to shrimp or other inverts or your bacteria colonies in your main tank. I do like to use aquarium salt. It's a great way to eliminate parasite problems like ick before they become a problem, and they do help with the gill function on the fish, so it helps when they're stressed to kind of make sure they're getting plenty of oxygen in their system. API comes out with a few good products. Melifix is a great product. It's actually tea tree oil. It helps quite a bit with bacterial infections. If these fish have slime coat removed or torn fins from the transfer process, it helps to kind of keep bacteria from colonizing and does a good job with that. API General Cure is a great, almost the safest medication that you can use in an aquarium. It treats a wide variety of parasites. Most of the time you end up with parasites issues with these fish. Some of those small ones that are hard to diagnose, ick is pretty simple. It's going to be very pronounced white dots on the fish. This one, I had some issues with some fish earlier and couldn't figure it out. Started using General Cure and it took care of it. Lastly, let's go old school. Noxic is just malachite green. It's a dye actually. It's a great ick cure. It actually kills the ick in the spore cycle before it latches onto the fish. It does turn your aquarium silicone, if you have airline hose or the silicone on your tank, it will turn it green. So just take warning. Again, we're using a quarantine tank, not a non-issue. Don't have to disturb the pretty display glass on your aquarium. So yeah, run these guys through. If you get new fish in, kind of watch them for a little while. Usually it's a good idea to quarantine for 2 to 3 weeks on fish. It gives you a good idea how they're doing, if they're eating, if they're healthy, and then if there's a parasite life cycle or something like that, it has plenty of time to take its course and you shouldn't notice it. And let's not forget quarantining for plants, inverts, shrimp, coral. It's all the same. They all have parasites. They can wreak havoc on your tank. Save yourself the time and headache. This is a very slow hobby. It's a patience hobby. So please take your time, take care of the fish, give them a proper quarantine, make sure you don't have any problems in the long run. It will save you lots of frustration and time. So hopefully this was helpful. If you guys have any questions, comments, please leave them in the comment section. Like the video if it was helpful and instructive. And if you'd like to see anything more from me, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks.